What is up? I wanted to do a quick update on the Big Brother 27 live feeds, mostly because I don't know if I will do an update later today or have time for an update tomorrow, so I kind of want to give my last assessment before tomorrow night's vote. We are in a house where that if it comes down to Adrian and Will on the block, Will the Vinces and the Zacks try and actually take Will out. The problem with that is that for 3 weeks now, Zach and Vince's whole game has been about making as many connections in the house as possible, trying to play all angles. And I just don't know why they would continue to put in that work to play all angles like they are still doing if they really truly want to draw a line in the sand. And if they do draw the line in the sand, it kind of just makes their work up to this point for nothing. We'll get a little bit more into that, but I have to talk about Adrian himself first. I talked about all his bad pitching yesterday with him being the one on the block. And as last night continued after my video, he continued to struggle, in my opinion. Now, he and Ashley had a decent talk. I don't know if Adrian will be thankful for Ashley's information or if he will then throw Ashley under the bus like he did to Mickey. Probably that. I did feel like maybe Ashley gave him a little too much in saying that Adrian needs to take big shots if he wins HOH. I do feel like, though, unlike with Adrian and Mickey, even though Adrian doesn't really care about having a connection with Ashley either, because Adrian only wants a connection with Zach apparently, and Callie, I suppose. That's his entire social game is just depending on those two. But I do feel like he at least isn't as after Ashley as he seems to be Mickey, despite him throwing Ashley under the bus when Lauren had to make a renom. But I think that was only because his and Ashley's names were the only two names out there. One thing I will say about Adrian, if he does stay and does win HOH, I do think he will take big shots, which is something nobody has done thus far. I mean, there's others that will do that. I mean, Rachel clearly would too. But I feel like Ashley is trying to hopefully use Adrian to take out some bigger players. They might not be the big players that she wants taken out first, though, so that could backfire as well. Now, after that conversation with Ashley, Adrian had a very awkward conversation with Rachel, which probably did more harm than good. Rachel was already thinking that Adrian needs to go this week no matter what, even over Callie. Rachel's been trying to plant seeds that Callie should stay over Adrian if they do end up on the block together, which is probably not likely, and Rachel is thinking that's not likely. But if it does, Rachel is planting those seeds just in case, and that was before this conversation. I think after this conversation, Rachel probably feels even worse about Adrian because his pitching and social game sucks. But the conversation that probably did more harm than any of the other conversations Adrian had last night was with the HOH herself, Lauren, where Adrian tried to talk to Lauren about maybe having to break a tie this week. And we know Lauren is scared of everything. And so after that conversation, she was feeling a little more scared of Adrian because Lauren is trying to stay in this position where she wants to remain, or at least be seen as neutral. As I said a couple days ago, Ava's the only one pulling that off. Ava is the neutral person in that house, and she's just making individual connections, and I think that's the best way to play this season so far. So once again, big ups to Ava. Lauren should have never won HOH if this was the game she wanted to play. You know, the first 2 weeks she was barely playing, and she wanted to lay low, but you can't lay low as HOH. And so that's what makes me think some of her being scared of everything is a little bit like a strategy. But I also just think that's just her. I think she's just young and very scared. She's a very scared player. She signed up for this game, but she didn't realize she was going to have to actually make decisions. And she clearly sucks at making decisions. So yeah, that might put Adrian in trouble to actually have the tie broken. If Adrian goes around telling people that Lauren said she would break the tie in his favor, I don't think Lauren wants that to happen or is going to like that. So will Adrian put his foot in his mouth like Keanu always seems to do? Or Callie always seems to do. You know, Callie, as I said yesterday, is someone that seems to just want to give up. She even had a conversation with Adrian where she basically said she would throw the blockbuster for him. So if that happens and it comes down to Callie and Will, I have a hard time seeing Callie stay over Will, despite Will not really doing enough work for me either. The three people on the block is just, it's rough right now because you have Callie who wants to give up. You have Will who's not really trying to save himself. And you have Adrian who I don't think he's trying to save himself either because the conversations he's having, like I said yesterday, are like interrogations of people when he's the one on the block needing votes. It's just very bad socially. Now, going back to what I said about Zach and Vince and how I don't think that they should or even want to draw a line right now is that they tried to go back to the original heavy hitters alliance, which originally it was Zach, Vince, Rachel, Morgan, Jimmy, and Riley. But last night they replaced Riley in the alliance and brought in Mickey. And that's fine because, you know, Riley's not really checking in on any alliances that he's supposedly in because Riley is not in the game at all. Riley and Kat just hang up on each other as Bad Vibes 1 and Bad Vibes 2 and don't even play the game. So good to see Riley kicked out of an alliance. I just wish somebody would see him as a target to get out of this game. But I guess it's hard to see him as a target when he's not even a real player right now. But because of this, with Zach and Vince going for this and now adding Mickey into the alliance, it's really, if they draw the line this week and it comes down to Will and Adrian on the block, they certainly overplayed by doing stuff like this. And then Zach, who is still probably in the best position, but it's hanging on by a thread. Add to Zach's pretty pathetic crush on Lauren coming into more and more people's mouths in the game. I don't really think that's going to be great for his game either. You know, they talked about possibly having this fake showmance throughout the house, but then they've also talked about keeping it very low key. I think Zach would go for anything that Lauren wanted when it comes to them as a showmance. I do think Zach is down bad. You know, we always talk about Morgan's crush on Zach and how that's been pretty pathetic from her, but it's equally as pathetic from Zach when it comes to Lauren because Lauren gives him nothing in my opinion, and it's not like they have chemistry anyway. I also see this narrative that Ashley has a crush on Zach too, which I'm not gonna dispute. I mean, I do think Zach is very much a blind spot for her. I think Ashley thinks that they get along better than they do and that Zach enjoys her more than he does because Zach's always going around the house talking shit about Ashley. Zach probably has Ashley's name in his mouth more than anyone except Lauren. Ashley also has this blind spot this week where she thinks that Vince helped save her because, as I talked about earlier this week, she did have that threatening conversation with Vince that if she's not on the block at the end of the week, she's going to think Vince had something to do with it. And now she's not on the block, so she thinks Vince has something to do with it, which works in Vince's favor where Ashley is concerned. So yeah, Ashley having some blind spots with Zach and Vince. I have to talk some shit about her game. It's been a while. You know, she's one of my faves, if not my favorites. I just don't know if I buy into the whole Ashley's game revolves around wanting to be Zach's favorite that's going on social media right now. I just don't. I don't believe that to be true. To me, Ashley's game is more and more becoming anyone but me. She has some Sandra from Survivor in her. She will she plants seeds to people about everyone. Well, almost everyone. I don't really think she's planted any seeds about Ava per se because, like, Ava's in a really good spot. But the time will come. So while I do think Ashley has a blind spot for Zach as a player, I'm not buying into this whole crush thing where Ashley is concerned. But I could be wrong. There could still be a crush, but it's not some obsessive thing that people want it to be. I feel like Morgan stans want Ashley to have a crush on Zach so bad so that Morgan's not the only player looking so pathetic towards Zach, even though Zach himself is looking pathetic towards Lauren. So yeah, the narrative, a lot of people want to throw Morgan under the bus as fans. I'm saying the fans want to say that Morgan is so down bad for Zach and it's pathetic, but the truth is Zach is also down bad for Lauren and it's pathetic. And also though, when a girl has a crush on a guy, yeah, they might be seen as pathetic if they do too much. But when a guy has a crush on a girl and it's unrequited, and if he does too much, Zach might end up starting to look creepy. So Zach might want to tread carefully with this whole thing, because we all know Lauren loves to be a victim. This whole playing scared thing, she's scared of everything, that could really backfire on Zach, because the optics will look dangerous, at least to the house, with the whole almost alliance of the Sundowntown alliance. So it really could be Zach's fatal mistake if Lauren continues to go around the house like she's doing this morning, saying that she does not like Zach at all. But if Zach still looks like he's pursuing her, it might look bad for him, not just in the house, but out of the house, like 2 seasons ago when everyone was on Cameron about being creepy with America. And look, Cameron wasn't shit as like a person in general, but back in that season, I thought America was playing into that the whole time. I talked about it during the season. The fans were crying that Cameron was a creep with America, but every step of the way, America didn't stop flirting with him. So, this could get spun very poorly for Zach because of the optics and because Lauren loves to play the victim in general. In general, though, I don't understand the obsession with Zach that some of the people have in the house, but I'm straight, so I guess that might be why. I mean, Zach's fit. He has a fit body, but facially, to me, sometimes in a certain angle, his head shape looks like when someone draws like a face on a finger. That's kind of what Zach looks like to me. So I don't see it, but whatever. Now, with Zach's crush on Lauren, what's really going on between Lauren and Vince? As these two are just all up on each other, talking all the time. Lauren yesterday said she loves talking to Vince, wishes time could stop and they could talk for 3 hours. And I think they did talk for over 3 hours last night. Not necessarily one-on-one the whole time, but with Zach in the room too. Altogether, Lauren and Vince talked for like 5 hours last night. And I would say this entire HOH week of Lauren's, the amount of time Vince has spent all up on Lauren, they've probably had well over 20 hours of conversation together. So I'm not saying Lauren has a crush on Vince necessarily, but I'm saying there's something there. They certainly have more chemistry than Lauren and Zach ever will. Now, Vince is older than, like 12 years older than her, and I think he supposedly has a girlfriend, so I don't think that's going to be our showmance of the season either, thankfully. But they have a very weird dynamic. This whole season, it seems to be about unrequited crushes outside of Kat and Riley. I guess that's our gross showmance of the season. But yeah, today everyone has been kind of hounding Zach and Lauren about each other. And like I said, Lauren's starting to tell people she doesn't like Zach. She told Ashley she doesn't like Zach. Ashley will love that information. Because here's another thing I think what's going on with this narrative about Ashley and Zach, that Ashley wants to be Zach's favorite. Ashley is just a gossip. That's really what it comes down to. Ashley loves to gossip. That's why when Amy was in the house, Amy liked to gossip as well. And that's why they would spiral together and have some bad reads together, because it was more so all about gossip than the actual game. So I just think Ashley is a gossip, personally. I think it hurts her social game. I think that is Ashley's still worst part of her game, is her social game. She has it going for her that people think she's dumb when she's actually has some of the best reads in the house. I think her anyone but me strategy could work for now, but she really needs to find a social game. And I just don't think she's going to do that because she is a Sagittarius without tact. Anyway, this new heavy hitters alliance I talked about earlier is stupid. If Vince and Zach really want to draw the line in the sand this week, this is a pretty stupid way to go about it, which makes me think Adrian could actually be in danger if he does end up on the block against Will. In theory, he should have the votes to stay, but with the way he's pitching and with the way Vince and Zach are playing, it could put him in danger. I have a hard time seeing Adrian not win the blockbuster because the blockbuster is usually timed. Will is old. Callie doesn't seem like she wants to be Adrian in it. So Adrian should at least win that. He has that going for her. But yeah, today Mickey and Morgan are suggesting to Zach and Vince that, Vince should check in with Rachel at least once a week to make sure everything is good, to reassure each other. I don't know if that's just them trying to help Vince where Rachel is concerned, which probably. Morgan and Mickey are two players that are also pretty much under Zach and Vince's spell right now. So that should just reiterate to Vince and Zach that their whole little game of trying to be good with everyone is working. So yeah, we'll see if they end up drawing a line in the sand. I am having a hard time seeing why they would if they continue to play the game of playing all sides, even if Vince's is very obvious. Even if Vince and Lauren think they're not an obvious duo when they're clearly been together 5 hours a day all week long. And there's also this thing where like Lauren is pretty sure that Zach and Vince have a trio with Morgan, a final three. Morgan has walked in on Vince and Zach with Lauren when Lauren was trying to make their final three official. If Morgan and Lauren would just have a conversation, they could, really talk about each other's games and really put two and two together about this type of game Zach and Vince are playing. But instead, they seem to be wanting to be the chosen one of Vince and Zach right now, which makes me not like Morgan and Lauren as players, which clearly I don't love Lauren as a player with her playing scared all week. But they could be so much more if Lauren actually, tried to have a relationship in this game outside of Vince, Zach, Kat. I guess she has one with Ava, but that's about it. And Morgan also just overplays and overtalks. I don't think she's told Mickey about what she heard what Adrian said about her yet. There's still this rift between Mickey and Morgan, and so this is just both sides. It's what I've been saying all week. There's no real sides yet because both sides are so fractured, which I'm thankful about. Anything that keeps a real big alliance out of the picture is better for the actual gameplay. And what I will give this cast is that despite a lot of them playing very terrible, such as Keanu, who can't have a good read to save his life, such as Adrian, who's on the block interrogating people when he could go home this week. But most of the cast, outside of the Rileys and the Cats, are playing really hard. They just get up and game all day long. And so that at least has something going for the season, despite half of the cast I still think are duds in general. But what are you going to do?